Hey guys, so today we've got another full set video and it's kind of a compilation of Series 1, Series 2, and the extended set or Series 3. So today is just going to be the full sets of those series, the base sets and the Young Guns. And we'll also talk about values kind of throughout the video for the bigger name players, and also at the end of the video I'll show full charts of everything from book values to eBay values, and we can see what this stuff is worth. Also, I have made a Series 1 and Series 2 Young Gun set video as well before, a few months ago, so we're going to see how much the values have dropped from those points. So let's get into it here. So this is the binder. I believe it holds Series 1 and 2. So this is just the base set here, nothing too special. We'll quickly skim through that. Of course, we probably all know by now, 200 base cards and 50 Young Guns for Series 1 and 2. And then 200 base cards and 30 Young Guns for the extended set or Series 3. And one interesting thing to point out as we get closer to the Young Guns is that the Young Guns were valued at about $568 on eBay for the total of them individually when I did this in January of 2021. And now the value has fallen down to $409. So a pretty hefty drop there as the market kind of cools off and the season's over and we're into the summer. So that's just an interesting first point there. So now we reach the Young Guns, and I do keep all the kind of better ones in one touches or top loaders. But the first card, the popular card that everyone was after, was the Alexis Lafreniere Young Gun, card number 201. So I've got that in a one touch. This was the biggest drop of any card kind of in the whole set. So this was about $275 when I made the video way back in January. Now it's fallen to about $135 on eBay. So that's responsible for most of the drop there. Alexis Lafreniere, and of course he does have another Young Guns in the extended set. And we've also got the second top five here would be Bowen Byram. So this was a $40 card and it's now kind of dropped to about $30, but still kind of the second highest valued card in that set. And of course that would be these that are missing there. And I mean, a lot of these players, this was a pretty good class, and I think it's a class that's going to improve in the future. I mean, Vitek Vanacek had a really good year. Josh Norris is another one. He actually appreciated, so he went from about $15 to $25, so that was interesting there. This page is a little lackluster, but there's still promise for guys like Yoel Levy and Liam Foudy. Moving on here, again, Mikey Anderson's a good player. Ryan McLeod's got some promise. Nicholas Baudin as well. One of the other top five players would be this Connor McMichael. So he started about $25 back in January. He's come down to about $15. So there's Connor McMichael. And the other player to round out the top five, in my opinion, would be Jason Robertson. So his Young Gun was actually one of the biggest ones that climbed in value. So this was only about $3 in July. He was just kind of a common Young Gun. And now he's shot up all the way to $25. And I think he does have a very bright future, and he could actually appreciate even more. So there's the Jason Robertson. And of course his brother Nick is another kind of solid player. But yeah, so those are the top five Young Guns and also the top five movers. I'm still really high on Pavel Francouz over here. Jake Evans is also on the rise as well. He's probably worth about $10 by now. And then Jake Ottinger is another player who's probably going to be 1B backup for the Dallas Stars. So that's another solid Young Gun there. So now we can move to Series 2. Again, another 200 base cards of players that weren't featured in Series 1. I'm actually missing a couple. I took them out, but they're somewhere lying around. Obviously, it's not tough to pull the base set together. And I would estimate the base sets are worth anywhere from like $5 to $15 a set. They're pretty common. A lot of people break a lot of stuff of this. A lot of people break cases and all that kind of thing. But anyways, again, quickly through the base cards here, and we come to Series 2 Young Guns starting at $450. So the Series 2 class was actually really good as well. It kind of started as like a lot of no names mixed in with some bigger names, but I think it's rounded out to be pretty well-rounded set. But anyways, one of the biggest points here is that the set values were $692 when I completed it in about April, so shortly after the release. And now that's fallen to $364. So almost halved in value, and we'll take a look at why that is. So obviously I completed this set right after the release, so the values were kind of sky high at that point. But definitely the biggest young gun still, as he was before, is going to be Kirill Kaprizov. So this is the Rookie of the Year Calder Award winner, and this is card number 451. So I've got that in the one touch. This was a $200 card, kind of a week after release day, and it's now fallen to just $100. So that's one of the bigger names, and that's another reason why the set has kind of lost its value somewhat. The next player up would be in the middle there, Alexander Romanov, or Romanov on the Montreal Canadiens. So again, this was a $40 card and it went down to $25. So we can kind of see that if you waited a little bit, all the values would kind of come down to a little bit of a more reasonable rate. And the interesting thing with Series 2 is that there's a lot of like $1 cards. I mean, let's, for example, have a look at the first page here. We have Chatfield, Sen, Quinney, like these are $1 players. Ty Smith is actually another good one, but we also see that his value fell from $17.50 to just $5. So huge loss in value there, especially because he's a D-man. But again, on this page, pretty much all of these guys are $1 young guns, and then you've got your two bigger names. So those bigger names would be Ilya Sorokin, who had a great year with the Islanders, as well as Niels Höglander. So these are the two bigger names there. Höglander's about $35 when it released, down to $20, and then Sorokin was about $30 as well, and he's down to about $15 to $20. So both of them lost some value, cards number 461 and 462. And continuing on, again, just not a lot of bigger names. Keandre Miller's okay. He's a pretty solid player. Keegan Kolesar was playing, so it actually had more promise than we may have thought at the beginning. But a lot of the players are still $1, $2, very common young guns, and that's just not going to change. Also, rest in peace to poor Matis Kivlenieks, who recently passed away after some fireworks celebrations, so very sad to hear about that. And that brings us to the next card, so the second biggest young gun of the crop, and of course that's Tim Stutzle on the Ottawa Senators. So nice looking card there, pretty solid card of Tim, card number 482, so he would go right there. This was $160 at the time of release, so about a week after or so, and now it's fallen down to $80, so the value's been cut in half there, so that's pretty astonishing to see such a big fall. But I guess the same can be said about Kaprizov and Lafreniere, all their values kind of cut in half. So that's the next big name. So the next page here moves on to some more players, of course, and a lot of kind of no-namers again. I think up there is supposed to be, up at the top is supposed to be Igor Sharangovich. I must have misplaced that. But he was a pretty decent name, but still nothing more than a $5 card. But the last card that kind of rounds out the top five would be card number 495, so Dylan Cousins. So he goes in the bottom corner there. So that's Dylan Cousins. He's also got a lot of promise. Had a great World Junior for Canada, and then had a okay year on a very horrible Sabres team. So Cousins is worth about a $25 card right now. So he rounds out the top five of Series 2. And again, on the last page, there's a couple better names like Stuart Skinner, for example, and Kevin Lankinen. And Lankinen's another example of a big faller. So he was about $25 after kind of release, and he's now down to about $7. So that's a huge fall in value for him. So that'll bring us to Upper Deck Extended, or kind of Series 3 as I like to say. So this is another 200 card base set. A lot of these names are players that kind of are not regulars or they were traded. Taylor Hall, I mean, he's in here, but he's on the Sabres. Eric Stahl again, like James Reimer, he was kind of the third goalie this year, ended up being. Matthias Janmark, so kind of Kiefer Sherwood, kind of a lot of names that are maybe lower on the depth chart in the lineups or traded. We got Patrick Laine on the Blue Jackets there. So another full 200 card base set featuring kind of some newer photos. A couple reverse retro jerseys were in here, so not bad. And interestingly enough, they actually did only 150 base cards and 50 all-star base cards, just kind of to get some extra players in there. So these are just players wearing their all-star jerseys from the year before. So there was no all-star game in 2020-21. So that was very odd. But anyways, enough talking about that. Now we're on to the Young Guns. So this Young Guns crop is very iffy. These Young Guns weren't even the big chase of the set. There was a lot of other stuff to look for. There is that Lafreniere 201 Young Gun that I'm kind of missing. I still have to get that, still have to buy that. Seems like a very tough pull, one in every couple cases at least. But as for these 30 Young Guns, the total value is only about $122, so you can see a lot of them are lower valued, and that should also drop quite a bit because this is just after kind of release day, about a week or two after. So anyways, the top card of this bunch would be Arthur Kaliev. He started out pretty hot, about $30-$40, now it's dropped to like $20, so he's the number one Young Gun in this set, number one Young Gun to chase. He put up some absolutely huge numbers in Hamilton. You can see 98 points in 57 games. Had a great OHL career, so we'll see what he can do with the Los Angeles Kings there. So Kaliev is the first one. Logan Stanley's another decent one. He's probably like $8 about now. He played in the Stanley Cup playoffs, scored actually 2 goals against Price that one game, so I think it was game 2. So that's an interesting one there. A lot of these portraits, because these players really haven't played that much, if anything, in an NHL uniform. So a lot of portraits card. Josef Kornash might be an interesting one. He played a bunch for the Sharks, as they had some goalie troubles this year. One of the top 3 would be Alexei Heponiemi. He had a great, I believe it was World Juniors last year for Finland. So he's got a pretty high upside there. And the other top 3 Young Gun would be Jack Rathbone. So he's worth about $12.50 as we speak right now. He's put up some great numbers in NCAA. And he also played a few games for the Utica Comets in the AHL and was a point-a-game defenseman there. So he's also got a lot of promise. But aside from that, there isn't really too much to look forward to here in terms of these Young Guns. Michael Bunting had a decent year. He scored a couple goals here and there. But yeah, so nothing too much going on here. Again, value here is about $120 for the set. Alright, so now we reach the portion of the video where we go more in depth on the values. So again, we will compare the values closer to release day, or just after, to the present day values that are months after release, and this will show us just how they change over time. So I've compiled some data for each of Series 1, 2, and Extended. As you can see on screen, there's going to be one column for the Beckett high-low range in Canadian dollars, one for the same in American dollars, and then one column for what each card typically sells for on eBay at that time. So the data from January 25th, a couple months after Series 1, shows us that the Beckett values range from $407 to about $1,000, and the eBay values say the full set would be worth around $570. So as of now, July 25th, way more recently, the book values have fallen only a little bit, with the Beckett range showing $365 to $926, but the real drop was in real life on the eBay market, with the value for the set down by 28% to $409. Series 2 actually had a higher initial value around April, with Beckett suggesting $449 to about $1,100, $1,200, and eBay putting the full set almost at $700. Again, as of July 25th, the Beckett book value range dropped to about $330 to $830, but the real drop again was on the eBay market, a huge fall of almost 48% to just $364 for the set. As for the extended set, we don't know how the values will be 6 to 12 months from now, and the Beckett values aren't yet released, but the eBay values are pretty low, $121.50 for the full set of 30. So there are a few reasons for the drop in values. First off, the values are always their highest in the few weeks that follow the release day, when everyone's buying their singles and trying to finish sets and riding the hype train. So drops are a natural progression over time. Second, the pandemic had people going crazy for Series 1 and 2 this year, so again, this increased the original hype for players such as Lafreniere and Kaprizov, and both players had their values decreased by over 100%, despite a decent year by Laffy and a Calder winning year by Kaprizov. So that suggests those players were overvalued at release big time. Third, it's the summer now, the off-season when the values are typically at their low point, and that's going to be much lower than the mid-season when players are producing and playing all the time. And lastly, many of these young guns are still unproven, so that means their values could go up or down, depending on how they play, but we really don't know truly how deep the young gun class is until a few years in. For example, highly rated players like Connor McMichael, Dylan Cousins, Bowen Byram, Vitek Vanacek, and tons of others could go on to have amazing careers and appreciate, or they could be a bit of a bust and depreciate. We just have to wait and find out. But right now their values are pretty low to mitigate that risk. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed checking out my full set of base cards and Young Guns and exploring this drop in values. So thanks again. Make sure to like and subscribe for all your hockey card content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.